and they will not be given access to their family and friends and even their lawyers. Who would have thought that under a serial demonstrator and so-called human rights lawyer, this will happen? Who would have thought about it? I mean, who would have imagined? Who could have imagined? Today he's making a speech at the UN, right? He's going to make flowery speeches at the UN. I'm sure in November when we meet also, Azerbaijan, to talk about climate change, he will be then, we'll send a representation as well to talk about climate change. People are protesting against Galamsey, the very thing he says he is prepared to put his presidency on the line to fight. They've been picked up. Some of them can't be found. Today he's making a speech at the UN. He's getting an honorary doctorate degree. Yesterday he got it, right? Why is in Papa?
Johnny, you're right. He's speaking in New York this morning.
The basic thing that the UN upholds is human rights.
That's right.
No, be so.
Be so.
And as for the courts, they have done nothing, right? If the police doesn't arrest you, for the Attorney General to say, I'm pressing charges A, B, C, for them to go and say, prosecute them, the court would not. You can't just pick somebody and take them to the court. The Attorney General has to prosecute, and the police rightly stated. So the Attorney General is a member of Nanado's cabinet.
But Johnny, I trace this back to the beginning where the police secured an ex-party injunction against this particular demonstration. They went to the courts.
Now I'm saying that.
And that is the genesis of all of this. That refusal for the protesters to go on the streets in the first place.
Helen.
I saw me from where I sit. Collusion. I just don't want to talk too much this morning, Johnny. I just don't want to talk too much this morning,
Helen,
Johnny.
But
that is the genesis.
I asked a very simple question on Johnny's Bite this morning. I said, look, why is it so difficult to demonstrate under Nanado, a serial demonstrator?
Why?
It is so difficult and painful to demonstrate under Nanado. Since Nanado got into power, no group, no CSO, no pressure group, whatever it is, has had the opportunity to go to the Jubilee House to present a petition at the presidency. They will either stop you midway or send people to go and meet you at the Independence Square to receive your petition. My own god brother, the Deputy Chief of Staff, is the one who usually does that messenger work for the government, right? The previous government, we have seen people go to the Jubilee House to present petitions.
That's right.
Some of the people who presented that petition, Occupy Flagstaff House petition at the Jubilee House, then Flagstaff House as it was called, are now in government. The reasons that they demonstrated against them have gotten worse. Now we have added Galamsey, where children are being born with deformities. Right?
That's right.
We're being told that we were at the risk of importing water. Our forest reserves, everything has been mined into. And you can't dare demonstrate. Who would have thought that this would happen under Nanado? Who would have thought?
Johnny is boiling.
Well, we'll come back to this issue, but the Electoral Commission has made a verdict. 11 persons, some leading political parties, some independent, were disqualified by the Electoral Commission. 13 persons or political parties and individuals sailed through the net. There were 24 people who were seeking to be on the ballot sheet for the presidential election. One of such is Bernard Mona of the PNC. The Electoral Commission says Ekia Donko is more qualified than you are. Bernard Mona, good morning. How are you? The Electoral Commission says that Ekia Donko is more qualified than you are.
Did she turn A or she got 3?
It was a stylish M.
It was A or M.
A stylish M, because when you turn the thing like that, then she turns it this way. But she's number 3 regardless.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you, Johnny.
What do you think of the Electoral Commission thinking that Ekia Donko is much more qualified than you are to be on the ballot sheet?
It breaks your heart. It devastates you. Not because some persons are seen to be qualified. But because the Electoral Commission is dwelling on trivialities to justify their disqualification of my candidature, and sometimes you think that they over-personalize it. And so when you take it in the realm of Bernard Mona, you get it wrong. I'm not contesting independent. I'm contesting as the sponsored candidate of the People's National Convention.
Right.
My candidature also brings on board many parliamentary candidates who know that they have a presidential candidate to come around their constituencies to give them some campaign boost. By my presence, it will give them a boost to win.
Right.
They could go independent, but they know the resources involved in going for independent and all that, so they chose a political party. And many of them, as I know, decided to contest because I was the candidate, and they know my robustness. They know that I'm vibrant. I will come around their constituencies to energize, to elicit votes for them. All of them are calling me to find out whether they should continue or not.
So what have you been telling them?
Of course they should continue.
But you are not going to be on the ballot.
I am going to be on the ballot.
How?
It's a temporary hiccup.
How are you going to be on the ballot?
The Electoral Commission was talking about errors, for which reason they disqualified me.
Right.
They should be disqualified because they also made errors.
How?
On page 139 and page 140, they wanted to find out whether I'm a male or a female. They wrote 6 instead of sex.
I see.
Is it an error?
It is an error. If that
So
is
should they be disqualified?
Oh, but they are not contesting, are they?
No, they should be disqualified from managing the office of the Electoral Commission. In alphabeting the forms A, B, C, D, they got to D. Instead of E, they went to F.
The forms that you bought
The form.
at 100,000,
Yes.
and filled.
And filled.
These were the errors that
These
you
are
found.
errors that are found on the forms. Should the Electoral Commission be disqualified because they also made errors? You see, so you don't put triviality. The lawyers will say that he who comes to equity
Must come with clean hands. It's a maximum of
wash your
equity.
hands before coming there. Not so. So you are telling me that I have errors. Meanwhile, yours, the forms that you gave to me were already error-ridden. But which errors are the Electoral Commission talking about here?
Yeah, you tell me. What was the
On
nature
the
of the errors?
13th, when I filed my nominations with the Electoral Commission, within the stipulated period, the Electoral Commission received them, so I went home. No one called me. The following morning at 6:33 a.m., I got a call from someone who'd identified himself as Samuel Kwa,
Okay.
and that he is working with the Electoral Commission's committee on the forms, and that they have sent me a letter on my WhatsApp.
Okay.
So then I said, WhatsApp. He called me with an MTM number. Then he said, no, he sent the WhatsApp on a telecell number.
Okay.
So he will call me with the telecell, so I will be able to retrieve the number because,
Right.
within that period, lots of messages will come. So when he called me, I then decided to save the name as Samuel Kwa.
Okay.
Then I was able to retrieve the letter. And the letter states that they detected some anomalies that reference particulars of my supporters on pages 9, 10, 37, 39, 42, 46, and 50. 7 pages of a 143-page document.
Okay.
These were the places they said they detected errors, incomplete records, or particulars of my supporters. And Johnny, when we pick the forms, take note, they say incomplete records. So when we took the form, you realize that on a candidate, you wrote and you ignored, or on form 1, form 2, form 3, form 4, you realize that you didn't put the date.
Right.
So you just copied the date from here into this one. On one, you realize that telephone number, you wanted to write maybe 97, and you eventually wrote 79. So you corrected them. You wanted to copy, or you omitted the voter ID number of the person or the polling station code. So we did all these corrections. As one of my experts who was helping me to fill the form, he said they even went further to identify 2 more errors.
That the EC didn't see.
That the EC didn't.
Okay.
And they corrected them for the EC. So EC gave us the forms. We corrected them and returned same to the Electoral Commission.
And what did they say when you represented
at
the documents?
3:29 p.m. Samuel Kwa on phone with me said they have received the corrected forms. I was in Sugakope attending a funeral. So he said, my forms have been returned with the corrections. I said, thank you.
Okay.
I hope we are done our part. He said, yes. So on the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, I wake up and I saw that some other political parties were advertising that EC has qualified them and they are to come for balloting.
Right.
So I called
Mr. Kwao.
No, first I called Kwao and he said, the vetting committee had finished their job. They gave their report to the commission. So I called Jean Mensah. 3 times she did not respond. And I said maybe it was too early.
So what time was this?
This was around 8:30
a.m.
a.m.
But she would have been at work
Well,
then.
I said it probably is too early. I cannot say.
Right.
Then I called Sami Tete. Samuel Tete also 3 times. He couldn't pick. I called Bossman. And Bossman picked and told me that, oh, Mr. Mona, I'm on my way to the office. But the committee gave us some, and they were still working on some.
Right.
So those that they gave us, we released them. So I'm going to the office. As soon as I get there, we'll release your letter. Okay. At 10 o'clock, all calls to Bossman to no answer.
Hey.
Then I started to get apprehensive. So I called my lawyer and said, this is what has happened. I sent the letters to him. So immediately he wrote, asking the Electoral Commission that we've not heard anything, and this is what we have picked from other people.
Right.
The letter got to the Electoral Commission at 11 o'clock. At 1:17 p.m., I got a message from Kisi Asante, a worker at the Electoral Commission, sending me a letter indicating my disqualification. But it's not responding to my lawyer's letter, but it's now informing me of my disqualification.
And what did they say? The letter say?
They said that they spotted several errors and omissions.
That was all.
That was all.
But they didn't point you to where those
several
errors
and omissions. How will that be my fault? Because you pointed out to 7 pages with incomplete particulars of my supporters
that you fixed,
and I rectified them for you,
and added 2 more.
And I added 2 more that you did not identify. So as far as I am concerned, we have met all the things that you said were the errors that you identified. If you did not identify an error, how am I going to be blamed for your inability to, or to be held liable for your failure to have identified the error?
Do you think this is deliberate? To disqualify you from the
deliberate
race?
Or an omission? Because I say deliberate because, or an omission because if you listen to Jean Mensah, when she came to announce on the 20th why I did not qualify, she could not say that I was given my forms and I corrected them. But all the other presidential candidates, she would say they found some anomalies, they gave the forms to them, they corrected them, and then they were qualified. In my instance, Jean Mensah could not state whether they gave me the forms and whether I corrected them and why they would disqualify me. He said that they found several errors and the committee decided to disqualify me.
What has your party been saying internally? Have they been responding to this?
It has been hectic, not just my party. I mean, Johnny, you know that my persona is beyond my party. For instance, there are many market women, traders, who have bought into the idea that I insist that we use Twi as our first language, Hausa as second language, and English as optional course. Because when you go to the market, you go and speak your kind of English there and see whether you buy anything home. Do you understand?
That's why they don't sell to Helen.
Go to Malata, go to Agbogloshi, and go and start speaking English and see what you bring home. So these people appreciate the fact that we will develop our language by using it in our schools, in doing everything. People appreciate the fact that I have insisted that if Ghana used to be called the Gold Coast and gold is destroying our water, let the people benefit directly. So when we sell our gold, a certain amount trickles into every Ghanaian's account. Instead of every money going to the government, So people will be born into wealth and not into debt. People have bought into it. And so the many people that are calling me and crying and the trauma is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And I'm saying that Electoral Commission, Johnny, what are the qualifications for one to contest for president?
40 years and above, be a registered voter, be of sound mind.
Am I of sound mind?
Well, nobody has checked.
Nobody has checked.
For any of the candidates.
For any of the candidates.
Yes.
So, but sitting here and responding to you positively.
No, you're responding
it means that you can
coherent and consistent manner.
I can also go to the psychiatric for a checkup if they want it. But I guess I am of sound mind.
But I don't think the Electoral Commission has even taken trouble to test anyone.
Do you understand? So, aside the constitutional prerequisites, the Electoral Commission now set up administrative prerequisites.
Which are?
Which are that you take a nomination form, you go around 261 districts and get 2 endorsees.
Right.
That when you return, you will come and pay to the Electoral Commission 100,000 in banker's draft, knowing very well that every work of the Electoral Commission is paid by the state. Yet they are charging us money. They charge us money, and I keep asking, what is the money supposed to do? Because if political parties are charging their candidates money, they will use the money to organize their internals. The Electoral Commission doesn't take the money from the candidates to do any organization because the state has provided absolutely everything that the Electoral Commission is. But I had to pay 100,000 in banker's draft. I had to pay for my parliamentary candidates that I filed, 10,000 per constituency. Right? So after paying for my parliamentary candidates, then all in banker's draft. After that, the Electoral Commission says that I should provide 4 postcard pictures. I provided. They said I should prove that I am a citizen of Ghana. So I gave them my birth cert, copy of my birth cert, copy of my passport, and copy of my Ghana card.
Right.
Right? They said they wanted a proof that I'm a registered voter. Not only did I write my voter's ID card number, but I also made a photocopy for them.
Okay.
They asked for a criminal record, whether I have any criminal record. Because I can, if I say yes, I have, or no, I don't, I went to the police.
Okay.
And the police CID gave me a criminal report.
Clearing you.
Clearing me, and I took to the Electoral Commission. In fact, it's addressed to the Electoral Commission. They did, and they will address it straight to the Electoral Commission. But I can tell you, I have my own, what do we call it, copy. Even though it was addressed specifically to the Electoral Commission, I managed to scoop my copy. So I can tell you that me and my running mate, they say we should prove that we have paid our taxes. We are not indebted in taxes to the state.
Right.
Myself and my running mate, we complied.
So where is the error?
I cannot fathom what an error. And I'm saying that if it is about errors, easy. You also made errors. So you cannot rely on trivia to say that you have disqualified somebody who traversed the length and breadth of this country. I'm not an independent candidate. I am a candidate of a political party. We went round to do internal contests. And Johnny, you know how heated our internal contest was?
Right.
Sometimes at 3 a.m., I'm still on the campaign trail. Go around the country, come back. You should respect the fact that the party endorsed me. And then you just go and sit down, come and speak for 2 seconds or 3 minutes, and that is sufficient to disqualify.
Will the PNC go to court over this?
We are in court.
You are.
I'm surprised you don't know I'm in court. I'm in court.
And what are you seeking?
That I should be included. The processes should be halted until I am included in the ballot.
You think the court will grant you that?
See, Johnny, I don't know, but you are a man of record and research. You remember the district assembly elections in 2019?
I remember that.
When, after the Electoral Commission printed all its materials, was about to go to start in a week.
Right.
And one person from Efutu got up and said, no, his rights to be on the ballot were trampled upon. The courts granted it.
That's right.
The Electoral Commission had to start all over again. It happened here in Ghana.
I know that.
So, if the EC...
But this is on a national scale.
that within district assembly elections, when the entire nation's materials were printed, the dates were set, everything had to overturn. So it did not take place only in Efutu, it was a national election.
Right.
In 2016, a similar thing happened. The court ruled, and the PNC was reinstated. The PPP was reinstated, and we went to contest the elections. Even though it has negative impact, because there are many people who wanted to support my campaign, for instance.
Right.
And when we just finished the submission and we're like, okay, now we are going to meet the people, all of a sudden, they see that you are disqualified. They will channel the resources that they wanted to use to support you into other things. When I am reinstated, the resources will not be there. And so it will have an effect on your campaign, but I'm confident will be restated because the Electoral Commission virtually did no good job.
We have only 73 days to the elections. You don't have a register as we speak. Now you're going to compound it with this problem, somebody will say. Can the Electoral Commission focus?
You are telling us that the Electoral Commission is incompetent because under normal circumstances...
I didn't say that.
Okay, you didn't say that. I am telling you that the Electoral Commission is grossly incompetent because at no point in our history have we gone into elections without a completed voters' album.
Right.
Do you understand? At which point? Any time that we are going for elections, you have the set. And let me give you an instance. How to tell you that the Electoral Commission is not up to its game. This Electoral Commission decided that persons that will be used, like media, like someone of us that will be monitoring elections on the elections day, we will come and register for the special voting. You remember?
Right.
My son is with the Ghana Police Service. So he left Bolgatanga and went to Nadoli to go and register for the special duties. When he did his transfers, as we speak, his name is not on the list of registered transferred voters to do the special voting. On the voting day, he will be assigned by the police.
Right.
So he will not be there on 7th December. Because of that, he agreed that he will go and vote on the 1st of December.
And he can't find his name.
His name is not found on the list. You have not established a final register. And you are here disqualifying people on trivia, on frivolities. How is that done?
Well, Article 63 of the 1992 Constitution says a person shall not be a candidate in a presidential election unless he is nominated for election as president by a document which A is signed by him and B is signed by not less than 2 persons who are registered voters resident in the area of authority of each district assembly. C is delivered to the Electoral Commission on or before the day appointed as nomination day in relation to the election. D designates a person to serve as vice president, and clause 2 says the election of the president shall be on the terms of universal adult suffrage and shall subject to the provisions of this constitution to be conducted in accordance with such regulations as may be prescribed by a constitutional instrument by the Electoral Commission, and shall be held so as to begin where the president is in office not earlier than 4 months. So the things that you mentioned earlier are in the constitution.
They are there.
You have satisfied all of these things.
Satisfied everything.
In addition to that, if you look at Article 62 of the 1992 Constitution, it says a person shall not be qualified for election as president of Ghana unless he is a citizen of Ghana by birth. You say you have fulfilled that.
I gave them my birth certificate. I showed them my birth certificate. I gave them photocopy. I added my passport.
Okay.
I added my Ghana card.
I see. B, he has attained the age of 40 years.
Without even asking. You know that I'm half.
C, he is a person who is otherwise qualified to be elected a member of parliament, except that the disqualifications set out in paragraphs C, D, and E of clause 2 of the Article 94 of this Constitution shall not be removed in respect of any such person by a presidential pardon or by the lapse of time as provided for in clause 5 of that article. That's Article 94.
My first attempt at parliament was in 2004. So that should tell you that I'm above all the qualifications specified by the Constitution.
Have you wronged the Electoral Commission anyway?
No.
Not that you know.
No. I don't wrong people. I speak my mind I never will go and wrong anybody. I will speak my mind. You may be bitter about what I say, and I can understand that, for instance, in 2012, you recall during the presidential debate, the IEA, then headed by Jane Mensah, decided that they will exclude the PNC presidential candidate in the round 2 of the presidential debate without recourse to our party. And I told them that, no, that is not the way. It was the parties that committed our candidates to the debate. So if there was a problem between the IEA and the candidate, they should come to the party. You cannot allow a husband and a wife institution to determine the fate of presidential debate in this country. I spoke my mind. And I think that since then, you will notice that presidential debates have been organized by the National Commission on Civic Education and the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, because I think that they are more broader. They represent the embodiment of our nation than any private institution to do so. I spoke my mind. But if these are the reasons for which I can be eliminated from the presidential elections, then I think that people are not qualified to be heading institutions, because they must tolerate people's views, just as I tolerate them.
How is this disqualification affecting your campaign? Because while you are busy trying to iron this out, your contenders, John Mahama is campaigning, Dr. Baumia is campaigning, Alan Tremantin is campaigning, Cheda is campaigning.
I have not ceased campaigning. In fact, on the Saturday, on the day that we were disqualified, the Friday, we had scheduled series of activities. For instance, we were to attend the 25th anniversary of installment of the Chief of Abutia, where my running mate comes from. So we planned. We still went ahead. We were to attend Damba on the Sunday in Tamale at Banvim. We still went, except that that day was a funny one, because as we were called and checked in, we boarded the flight, ready to take off, and then they said that we should all come out of the flight.
Why?
We came out. They took us back to the departure hall, only to be told 2 hours later that there was a technical issue and therefore our flight has been cancelled.
So you couldn't enjoy the Damba?
No compensation whatsoever. We were frustrated. We left home by 6 a.m., sat at the airport until around 8. Then around 10, you come and tell us that our flight has been aborted.
Which airline is this?
Passion Airline.
Then no compensation?
Nothing. You just spoke like that and we have to go home.
They just told you and left?
They just told us and left. And so people had to go and pick their bags. Anyway, that is another issue.
No, but it's an important issue.
Yeah.
So if you had business to transact?
No, a lot of things. I'm saying that I left Abutia in the night, risking my life to come and go to Tamale to do Damba. And from Damba, we were supposed to return so that the following day I could go to Benin.
And that was
everything went bad. And then we have to take it like that. This is the nation we run. They just came. Somebody, it's not even management. Somebody just came and announced that we are sorry, your flight has been cancelled.
That's all.
And the person vamoosed. I mean, even that person, if you confront her, she doesn't have capacity to do anything.
You'll be wasting your time, literally.
You understand? I was there with now Professor Dele, who was going to Tamale and to head to Bolga. So one of our colleagues, who we forgot to put on the Passion Air, and eventually we had to book that morning for him to be on Africa Air, was his ticket we had now to replace for now Dr. Dele to go.
Back to the Electoral Commission's issues. The Electoral Commission say they are correcting some mistakes or errors as they have identified in the register. And very soon, the register will be out there. The NDC says you have to conduct a forensic audit of the register. The MPP says if the Electoral Commission goes ahead to conduct a forensic audit, they will also take them on and head to court. What do you say?
That will be fine.
What do you say?
First and foremost, I have called for a forensic audit of all the presidential nomination forms. Because if the EC say I have errors, Johnny, I'm saying that the political space is like this. You know my relationship with my brothers in MPP.
Right.
We meet here, we eat together, we talk about issues that my friends in MPP, my friends in NDC, CPP. So the problems that the CPP EC told them these are their problems on their forms. I know. The problems that LPG faced, I know. My friend is Jerry Owusu. The problems that GFP faced, Gather Freedom Party, they faced, I know. The problems that Chada,
all of
them, I know, and I can tell you ditto.
So you're saying that you were not the only one who had the
yes, I
so-called
can
errors.
tell you. I'm saying that some of them just filled one form and made the other 3 copies photocopies.
3FM 90.
When the EC detected, you asked them to go and change. You gave them 3 days, 4 days. They applied for extension of time. You think we don't know? So if those things were minor, you could overlook them. Just as we can overlook your inadequacies. You want to write sex and you wrote 6. You jumped E and you went to F. And you are now telling people that they must be perfect. You are seeking perfectionism from other people.
The wheels of justice grind slowly, as the lawyers will say.
No, in electoral matters, and given that the courts also are very much aware that the elections are determined on time basis, all the time electoral matters are dispensed with the speed of light.
Bernard, I wish you all the best, and I pray that...
So on your issue, I support the forensic audit of the voters register. And I just gave you an instance where a son of mine, who is a police officer, went to do a special voters transfer. When the list came for him to go and check his name was not on the transferred special voters list. But on voting day, he will not be available at his polling station to go and vote. So where is his vote?
And you want a forensic audit?
So if you don't audit it, how will that person be able to know whether his vote? Probably in the course of doing the transfer, instead of sending the person to Nadoli, you took the person to Bekwai. So the forensic audit will be able to retrieve that no, this person who wanted to be in Nadoli, his vote has been taken to Bekwai. Then it will be corrected. Alai.
Not true. Bernard Ambatayela Mona is the presidential candidate of the PNC. Well, the Electoral Commission says he's not qualified to contest. He says he thinks otherwise. We'll see you after the break.